Hey, boys and girls, today we are going to be working on learning how to draw our cakes and pies from Wayne Thiebaud. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a foreshortened circle for our whole cake. So I want you to go ahead and make a foreshortened circle on your page. And then I want you to make two lines coming straight down for the sides of your cake. And then we need to make a curved line to connect those. It's important that that line is curved because if it's straight across, then our cake is going to look flat, and we want our cake to look round. Now, if we want to put our cake on a plate, we don't want to go right to the corner of our cake. We'll go up a little ways, and you can come out and back around, and that's going to make it look like it's on a little plate. Now it kind of looks like a hat, right? But we can do a few other things. We can add some designs here to the edge of our plate, or we can make two little parenthesis lines coming down. Remember when we did those for the eyes? We made our portraits. You can do the parenthesis lines, and then you can make another foreshortened circle, and it looks like it's on a little stand. We call those cake stands. If you want to get super fancy, you can do another layer. Right? That's a super fancy cake stand. So you don't have to put these on the plates or on the cake stands, but these are just ideas for things that you might want to include in your artwork. Okay? Does everyone understand? Everyone's good about whole cakes, right? Thumbs up? Okay, good. All right, so now this is where it's going to get a little bit more tricky. Now we're going to make the cake with a piece taken out. So we're going to start with a whole cake. So over on the side of your paper, we're going to go ahead and make another foreshortened circle. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. And then we're going to do two lines coming down. And then our curved line to connect. Okay, now I want you to make a dot in the middle of that top foreshortened circle. We're going to make two lines like a V with a point at that dot. Now it's important that we make our V kind of stretched out a little bit. We don't want it to be too skinny like this because we're going to have room in the inside of our cake. So we need to kind of make it a little bit wider than a V that we would normally make, like if we were writing. And then we want to make two lines coming straight down from the edges of our V. Now this is important that we're watching with our eyes, and we want it to match this line right here. So as I'm going down, I'm watching carefully, trying to keep the space between this line and the line I just drew the same. I don't want to have a cake like this. I don't want a cake that goes like this. Can you see how this line starts wider and then as it comes down it gets skinnier? Do you see that? We want to keep them the same. These lines need to be parallel. That means that they never cross. So I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Now we want to make, from our dot, make a line that goes straight down. Now I want you to take your eraser, and we're going to erase this part of our foreshortened circle out. Okay, now I want you to notice that this line, if I go to the point, as it comes down, it angles to this side. So when I come down here, I'm going to make a dot on this line, and I want this angle to match this angle. So this line matches this line. Can you see how they're parallel or the same? So everything in this column of my cake is going to match that line. They all have to be the same. Now we're going to go on the other side, and everything in this column of my cake all needs to match this line right here. See how these angle going down? This one angles up, this one angles down. So all of our cake pieces on this column need to match. When you're done, you're going to use your eraser and erase out the bottom of your cake. So I'm going to show you with a marker just to make it a little bit easier to understand. So this line is purple because these are the same, right? These that go in the same direction. I'm going to show you with my red line. See how these angle the opposite direction? So I'm doing them in a different color. So you can see that those are the same. So back to the inside of my cake, we're going to divide this up, and we're going to have a layer of cake and then a layer of frosting and a layer of cake and a layer of frosting and a layer of cake. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to divide it up by making another line inside of this column. See how it matches the purple line? And then I'm going to do another little line. So we have cake, frosting, cake, frosting, cake. So cake, frosting, cake, frosting, cake. So all of these lines are going to all be purple because they all are going in the same direction. Sometimes kids get in a hurry for this part and they just want to draw a straight line across, but then it doesn't make our artwork look as realistic. So it's important that we take our time and make sure that all of those lines match up. Okay, so now we're going to go to the other column, and this time each one of those lines is going to go in the opposite direction or the opposite angle. So they're going to follow our red lines. So I'm going to make mine red so you can see that these all match up. Does everyone understand that? Okay, good. I know that's kind of a hard thing to understand. It's okay. It's okay. All right. So now we're going to come back to our cake and we're going to put it on a plate, right? So not at the corner, but we're going to go up a little ways and draw a foreshortened circle. Okay, so I drew a foreshortened circle to put my cake on a plate. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're good. All right, looking good. All right, so now you know how to draw a whole cake. You know how to draw a cake with a piece taken out. So now we're gonna turn our paper over so we make sure we have enough room. And you're gonna draw the one piece that we took out of that cake, okay? So, we're gonna start with either a greater than or a less than sign. It's up to you, whichever you would like to make. A greater than or a less than sign. So I did a greater than. Okay, so this is a piece that's been taken out of a circle. So we need to do a curved line right here to connect, because that's the circle of the outside of our cake, right? Because our cake or our pie was circular, so it's kind of like a piece of pizza. So now we're going to come to our corners and we're going to go straight down for the thickness of our piece of pie or piece of cake. Now remember how we talked about how inside of those columns, how those lines have to match up? Well, this line here is at an angle, right? So when we go to make our line for the bottom of our cake, we want it to be at the same angle. If I go in the opposite angle, like this, oops, you guys can't see that, the opposite angle, that's not going to look right to our eyes, right? Do you see that? So it has to follow this line, and my line goes up. If you did, mine's a greater than sign to start. If you start with a less than sign, it'll be the opposite. So you have to look at your piece of cake and which way does that line go. So mine goes up, so I'm going to match it with that line. See how they match? So I'm going to erase this because I drew that wrong on purpose to show you what I meant not to do. So now those match. So if we want to put a layer of frosting in between, we can add just those two little lines for our frosting. It could be ice cream or maybe fudge in the middle of your cake. All kinds of yummy things, right? Whatever you want to put in the middle of your cake. All right, so now we're going to come back to the side of our cake. Remember that curved line, we want to go to the point that's the furthest out in our curve. So right here, and we're going to draw a straight line coming down. I have just a little itty bitty like section right here. But I want you to notice that this curve kind of curves around and goes up. So when I go to make the bottom little part to connect those, it has to match that curve. And that's what's going to make it look more realistic if those two match. So I might want to put this on a plate. And then I have my piece of pie or piece of cake done. If I want it to look like a pie, I could come in here and add some pie crust on top if I wanted. Maybe I'm going to do a slit inside of here, like apple pie or cherry pie sometimes has those little holes in the crust. So maybe you want to draw that. That's up to you. So you could easily turn this into a piece of pie, or it could be a piece of cake. Give me a thumbs up if you're good on that. Awesome. Okay, so let me explain to you what you need to do for today. I'm going to give you your final paper that you're going to be working on your painting. And these are the things that you're going to need. The first thing is you need a horizon line about a third of the way down on your page. Let me write this down for you. A horizon line. That horizon line is going to be your the line that separates your wall from the table. Do you see my cakes and pies up on the board? See how it separates the line from that line separates the table from the wall? So you need to do that first, about 1/3 of the way down your paper. Okay, the second thing you need to do is you need to decorate your wall with some sort of pattern. Why don't you write this down with me as I go? You want to decorate the wall. So put a pattern on your wall. So when you're doing this, you can kind of check this off. You're creating a checklist for yourself. Okay, the next thing you need to make is a whole pie or cake. I'm going to write cake. A whole cake. The next thing is a cake with a piece taken out. And the last thing you need to make is the piece that we took out. Now you can add other things if you would like. I've had students make silverware or glasses of milk or vases of flowers, any of these things you would like, wedding cakes, anything you want your table to look like is fine, but you need to be able to show me these things. So when I'm grading it, I'm looking for each one of these things. Okay? The other thing you want to think about is that some of your cakes and pies need to be close to you and some need to be far away. So if they're close to you, remember they start towards the bottom of your paper, like mine up there. That green one or the piece of cake is bigger at the bottom. So they're bigger and towards the bottom of our page. And as they go further away, they get smaller and closer to our horizon line or the edge of our paper. Are we good? All right, so you're going to get your big papers to get started.